Hello everybody and welcome once again to Casual Gamer Oz as we move back into our career mode on F1 2017. We've had some fun online and we're time to dive straight back into our third season here for Toro Rosso Racing. Toro Rosso driver Ben Waterworth. Frustrating that we have to do another season at Toro Rosso, but we did have a terrible season 2, so we need to bounce back and do our best yet in order to try and move our way up the grid and see what we can do with this career as we push young Ben Waterworth up the grid. My name is Ben Waterworth, and yeah, I don't look like that. I look worse. But anyway, we'll just, before we get into qualifying here in Australia, I just wanted to go to the R&D tree. We had obviously a bunch of points that we got given at the end of the season. Now, McLaren have overtaken us in terms of the performance, so that's not good. We're kind of the second worst team, and Sauber's catching us. But in all fairness, we are obviously taking a slow route here to try and improve ourselves. So what we've actually done here, given that we don't do practices, and generally we get all our R&D points purely through races and qualifying, and when we're not doing too well, you know that's obviously going to affect us. But we've been focusing on the powertrain, and I've been working my way out from the bottom. So basically, could have easily upgraded this part here of the car, which would have increased the engine power in the fuel injection system. But when we've been working down here in the development quality control section in the department efficiency, which basically, if you fill all these little boxes and colour them up, all these parts here take you less time to get towards. So it's kind of short-term pain for long-term gain, so to speak. So that's what we're doing here. So we've basically updated all of them. We've only got one more to go. We're going to get 1,400 points, and that will decrease the amount of points we need here by 50%. So this one here, for example, 600 points needed. I think that was originally at 1,000 points. So it's going to be a lot quicker to get some of these really big upgrades. So hopefully we can get to 1,400 points fairly quickly this season. We can start off well, and then we can start really working hard on these points here to work on this Renault engine. So that's my goal. We'll see how we do. Obviously that means that we've got to actually do well, and given that our season last season was the worst yet, only 26 points scored. We finished 10th in the championship. Wasn't the worst we'd finished in terms of overall finishing position. That distinction obviously went back in Season 1 for Sauber when we finished in 11th. But when it comes to actually finishing this season with the amount of points, that was the least amount of points that we had ever gotten. So let's do this. Best qualifying here in Australia at Albert Park is 17th, and that was last season, Season 2 on F1 2017. And as always, as I always say at this point of the season, I love this circuit, and I've just not been able to perform well here, sadly, at the time being. So I put that down to the car. My ability also isn't brilliant, but hopefully we can try our very best. And I think the highest we've ever finished here at Albert Park is actually 19th. So last season, of course, we didn't even make it at the start line. We got in that incident with a Sauber and our teammate. Really kind of signalled the what was going to happen for the rest of the season, didn't it? So our first season here in F1 2017, though, we were challenging for points, but Romain Grosjean decided to get a little bit aggressive and put me into a spin. So yeah, we'll try our best here at Albert Park. 17th at the moment. Our team expects us to finish 15th. So obviously we're going to try our very best to meet all team goals, because that's where the points and reputation will come from. And as we keep saying, we want to get to a better team for Season 4. Obviously Red Bull is the ultimate goal for just, I guess, an internal battle to move ourselves up the grid. Ferrari the ultimate goal. But I feel as though a Renault or a Force India drive, or maybe even a Williams drive, would be suited to our next career step next season. So right now, this is going to be the worst possible way to start off, folks, as we're going to end up qualifying dead last here. And that is the worst feeling, considering that we had no mistakes, no anything, and that's purely pace related. And that is a terrible way to start this season. And, yeah, not off to the best of starts. But as we see often, Ferrari get the early jump, but we usually know that it's Mercedes who will get through in the mid-season, and Hamilton going for his 5th consecutive championship here in Casual Gamer Oz. Vettel, Raikkonen, Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Massa, Perez, Hulkenberg, Grosjean. We'll only go through the top 10 now, because I mean, you know what the rest of the grid really is kind of like. Our teammate found his way up into 16th, so our car's struggling. The McLarens have overtaken us there, as you can see. based purely on pace alone. So this is going to be a long season. We're going to try our best, and we're going to try not to at least bin it, and we'll see how we go for race day. And race day begins now. So obviously our rivalry to Grosjean, we're going to basically give up on that. We're not going to beat Grosjean in that rivalry. But we'll switch focus to the next one. Hopefully, again, they can give us like a McLaren or Lance Stroll or somebody. We've only ever gotten Force India drivers or Romain Grosjean. Not obviously including Carlos Sainz in our first, obviously you get your teammate for your first, what am I saying, rival. That's the word I'm looking for, Ben, rival. So, yeah, so I got 50 development points there. Well, it's better than none, I guess. And our reputation was high with Renault, and yeah, I guess also we should push for first driver this season. Because again, the thing that's, again, as I keep complaining about in Season 2 here in F1 2017, is again, it seems to punish you more for your mistakes rather than reward you for the things that you do well, which is frustrating. And given too that Carlos Sainz scored no points last season, I scored 26 points. In the first season, I scored 54 points. I think he only scored 2 or 4 points. So therefore, I have outscored him basically 70-odd points to nothing, yet I am still the second driver. Sure, he might out-qualify me and probably have less retirements, but I think on the grand scheme of things, I'm doing a lot better for Toro Rosso than he is. So, yeah, very interesting. I think I've got the Carlos Sainz effect here at Toro Rosso at the moment, that I'm feeling my abilities a lot better than it is, and that I deserve a much better seat. So anyway, let's do this. Let's do this, and hopefully we can last past the first lights. And Season 3 is underway on F1 2017 here on Casual Gamer Oz. Now, we've made it past that section this time around, so we've made it further in Season 3 than we did in Season 2, so that is a positive. We're just going to go ourselves off there, and we've ended up still dead last, as we were very cautious off the start line there, trying not to lose any part of the front wing. Jeffrey's, I think, yelling at me. I don't know why. I'm not listening to him. Jeffrey gives me the shits. We've got a couple of positions there. The Sauber's looking quite racy this time around. So they find themselves up into 16th and 17th place. I've got to be in the top 17 here to meet team expectations. So I think right now we should forget about points and focus on 17th, as Verline gets very racy with me there, but I make that move stick. Just hold on to it there and we move up into our target position. That's where we want. So it was actually Ericsson, not Verline. Verline's in front of me here. Now, next goal here will be to maybe get ahead of our teammate as we try and curtail our expectations, I feel, this season around. We're not going to get points in this race at least. So right now it's a matter of catching those in front. And the difficulty level on 70, I feel it's standard. I mean, I could always take it down a notch, but I don't want to lessen my my achievements then, I feel, if I take it down just because I'm getting frustrated at the fact that I'm not doing too well in the game. Whereas obviously I have gotten podiums on this difficulty setting before, so it's not that I am completely terrible. Raikkonen's leading this Grand Prix, by the way. I think he overtook his teammate. Obviously Vettel, I believe, did start on pole. But one thing that I feel you do notice is the performance. Whoa, and I get away with that one. Oh my goodness, am I going to get a penalty for it? Oh goodness, did I damage any part of the car there? I didn't. I was just going to say, the performance of improvement of the other teams you can really feel, because a lot of the time you would generally easily catch these Saubers, but at the moment I'm not. But that, I decided to dive bomb up the inside there. Wasn't expecting that to go that way, and I got very lucky there, I feel. I should have damaged my front wing or potentially gotten a penalty. So a bit of an errant move by myself there, and I get away with it. I'm not going to test myself too hard this time around in Season 3. I'm going to try our online approach, slow and steady, and see what happens in terms of meeting team expectations. Right now, we're meeting team expectations, and it would be nice if we can catch our teammate here, but I think he's getting away from us slightly. How's our fuel looking? 0.93 of a lap ahead. Not in a point right now where we really can increase it to rich mode, because I feel that that would be more of a risk right now, as we're getting the Sauber behind us of Ericsson now has gotten ahead of his teammate. He's getting slightly racy, just keeping Sainz in the picture, which is what we need to do. We want to be able to get ahead of him, because obviously if we finish ahead of Sainz, I think we get a bit more of a bonus in terms of our overall score, and it fits a little bit better too into our possibility of trying to get up to first driver in Toro Rosso. But again, we're focusing on the small positives, and the small positives right now is we are meeting our team's expectations, and that's the best we're going to look for in this Albert Park race. We've made our way from the back of the grid up until 16th. It's a small win, but obviously very cautious off the start line here. I feel as though we're getting a good rhythm in the car right now that we can possibly catch Carlos and see what we can do with that. Just need to get up to that 1400 development points so we can start really pushing that engine upgrades and really start to finally improve this car, because realistically we wouldn't have improved the car at all last year if we were working on the departmental upgrades, essentially, would we? So we've kind of gone over a year without actually developing this car, and you can then feel the performance drop based purely on that. So some people might think, well, you're taking a very interesting route in doing that, Ben. You've only got yourself to blame, and I guess you would be right in saying that, but as I said, short-term pain for long-term gain. And we're at 0.94, penultimate lap. I don't think we're going to... Well, actually, what we'll do, we'll put it onto rich mode for this lap and see if we can push him towards the final lap. Do one lap on rich mode and see how that puts us. We're going to have a clean lap here, though, to try and catch Carlos. And I don't know if we're going to be able to, but once again, we're just going to at least see how we go. If we finish in 16th place, it'll be our highest ever finish at Albert Park on Casual Gamer Oz. So there's a little side note for you there, just if you're playing at home. And we move obviously into China next, a race which did pretty well last year from memory. I think I qualified about 5th there from memory, and I've got pole position before in China, so a race that I generally do okay at, but also have made plenty of mistakes at China over the years as well, over the seasons. So we'll see how that pans out. Right now, focusing still here on our first race, Season 3. Thank you for joining us here on Casual Gamer Oz. Of course, if this is your first video that you've seen, as you can see, we've got the racing line on. We're very casual gamers here. That's why we're called Casual Gamer Oz. We have 2 other seasons that we've done here on F1 2017, and also did 2 seasons on F1 2016. And we've done plenty of online races as well for you to get involved in. Alright, so we're going to put this back to standard, because that is not really done anything for us there, sadly. So it looks like we're going to be resigned to 16th place, barring any catastrophes here on the final lap. And look, it's disappointing sort of, but it's also satisfying. We'll get our highest ever finish in Melbourne, and we will meet our team's goals, and we will survive the first race of the season. So just small minor positives to take from this. The car is obviously not where we want it to be, and we'll be working on that throughout the season, and hopefully we can maintain a good run of results to get some R&D points up, because as we keep saying, we don't do practice modes, so therefore we kind of are only start. I'm going to hopefully say by mid-season that we can at least get that 1400 development points up to then push the second half of the season, which is where I need that attention really on me, to get some very strong engine results going on the powertrain, really get this Renault engine pushing forward as Kimi Raikkonen wins the first race of Season 3. Hopefully we can break this streak of Lewis Hamilton championships. That would be very nice. And we're going to find ourselves finishing this Grand Prix, our home race, in 16th position. It's a disappointing start on paper, but we will gladly take 16th place. We meet our team's expectations. We have a clean race. We get away with a little incident before. And Jeffrey, what do you think?
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Well, you're a bit of a prick there, Jeffrey, because we beat team's expectations. You don't even want to give me a pat in the back, you bastard. All right. Well, we're off to that start. That's where we are right now, which means obviously that China is going to be just around the corner as we get to all the celebrations here. Yep, we know. It was a Ferrari one too. Good way to start. So we'll just have a bit of a look at the replay here, just to obviously see where I kind of went wrong in terms of my poor start. Obviously, I just did not want to get too dangerous. Hamilton got a very good start there by the looks of things. But Raikkonen, excuse me, an even better one. All the space in the world, and I just brake so early, and I just get a little bit of cold feet when it comes to taking the Sauber and McLaren there. And then I'm still trailing around dead last here as we go into turn 3. And this time I dive bomb up, get at least the McLarens and one of the Saubers. The McLarens have a bit of a coming together there as I get racy on, that was Ericsson, was it not? I think we discovered that because I thought initially it was Verline. Get some good drive out of that section. And I'm going to dive bomb up here. Not usually an overtaking spot, but I make it an overtaking spot. Get very aggressive with Ericsson. And that at least put me in good seat for the rest of the race. Raikkonen, Vettel, Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo, Perez, Verstappen, Massa, Grosjean, and Hulkenberg. Some points for Renault. That's how the first race. So we don't really look at the standings, but we will anyway. So we know obviously that will be the top there. But the constructors, see Ferrari, well, they haven't lost on F1 2017, have they? And Toro says South McLaren, where they're in the minority, haven't scored. We'll be back for China. Thanks for watching Casual Gamer. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you for watching. We'll speak to you shortly. Good night.